stand and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, can I ask the clerk for a roll call, please?
Yes, Mr. Corman.
Here?
Mr. Pavoni.
Here.
Ms. Perez.
Here.
Mr. McIrvin.
Here.
Ms. Witchy.
Here.
Mr. Person.
Here.
Mr. Prince.
Here.
Roll call, Mr. Mayor, all present.
Okay. Next on our agenda is proclamations. We have a couple of proclamations tonight.
Okay, proclamation, Affordable Housing Week. Proclamation, whereas all people should have access to safe, healthy, and affordable homes within communities of opportunity, and whereas studies have found that each $100 increase in median rent results in a 15% increase in homelessness in metro areas and a 39% increase in homelessness in nearby suburbs and rural areas, and whereas the 2016 one-night count found 160 people in our community sleeping outdoors without shelter in January of this year, and 5,485 families are considered housing insecure because they are spending more than half of their income on rent and utilities. And whereas there were 479 students identified as homeless during the 2014-2015 school year by the Renton School District, and whereas the combined cost burden of housing plus transportation can be substantially reduced by locating affordable housing opportunities in proximity to transit, and whereas the all-home community aims to make homelessness rare, brief, and one-time, and whereas everyone benefits from affordable housing, including the people who reside in these properties, their neighbors, businesses, employers, and the community as a whole, and whereas united in an effort to raise public awareness, communities throughout King County are participating in local Affordable Housing Week efforts to inform the public of the critical need to preserve and or increase affordable housing in our communities. And whereas the City of Renton endorses the goals, objectives, and purposes of Affordable Housing Week, and in doing so, recommits to ensuring that our community thrives with opportunity and that all people live with dignity in safe, healthy, and affordable homes. Now therefore, I, Dennis Law, Mayor of the City of Renton, do hereby proclaim May 16th to 22nd, 2016 to be Affordable Housing Week in the City of Renton, and I encourage all citizens to join me in this special observance. In witness whereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of the City of Renton to be affixed the 16th day of May 2016, signed Dennis Law, Mayor of the City of Renton.
Mr. Mayor,
Hi, yes, Mr. Pavone?
I move that the proclamation be adopted as read.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved by Mr. Pavone, seconded by Mr. Prince. Proclamation be adopted as read. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it. And is Lisa Evans here tonight? I'd just like to present this to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Accepting.
Oh,
Do something in front of on this to the table.
Okay.
Please sign the back of it.
Do you want
Hold
the
on.
full council?
If they would like to come down, yes.
Well, they can
Oh.
take those things. You want to
Okay.
back here?
We got this now.
Julia, too. No. And yeah, please go ahead and speak.
I'm a little nervous. So my name is Lisa Favitz, and I both live and work in the city of Renton. I actually grew up here with Armando. We went to school together. And I'm here as a person concerned about homelessness and affordable housing. I work at the Renton Housing Authority, and we're here to thank you for your participation in King County's first ever Affordable Housing Week, and to ask you to continue your support to preserve affordable housing in our area. We are one of 20 cities in King County who are issuing the proclamation. In our city, we currently have 15% of our residents paying 49% or more of their income for rent. And as you just heard in the proclamation, close to 500 students in our district lists our address as homeless. This is a real crisis I see every day in my work. So many hardworking people are being affected by the lack of affordable housing. More and more of our RHA clients who receive a housing choice voucher, which used to be somewhat of a golden ticket for rents, because you get a subsidy, are unable to find units or rentals in Renton where they can afford. They are being forced to deport out into King County to go farther and farther south, which then puts them farther and farther away from both their family and natural supports as well as social service supports, and then makes their commutes longer and so on and so forth. We need more aggressive legislation to provide better access to affordable housing, to secure more tenant protection, notably the one that ends discrimination for people with housing choice vouchers. Currently in our area, only Seattle, Redmond, and unincorporated King County and Bellevue have this protection, and we'd like to see legislation that secures it for at least King County, if not our whole state. We believe that it should be possible for all working people to afford housing and still have enough money for basics like groceries, gas, and childcare. Everyone should have the opportunity to live in a safe and affordable home, and children deserve the chance to be successful in school and in life, which all began with their family having a safe, affordable place to live. It is better for everyone if families can afford to live where they work, then they better support the community. And then in closing, I want to invite all of you to the Affordable Housing Week elected officials reception, which is Thursday, May 19th at 4:30 at El Centro de la Razo in South Seattle. It will be a great chance to celebrate the week and talk with other elected officials and community members from across the county about your affordable housing goals and opportunities. I hope you will continue to support affordable housing in your policy decisions moving forward, and thank you.
Thank you very much, Lisa, for your words tonight and for all your hard work for affordable housing. Okay, we have another proclamation.
Okay, proclamation, National Public Works Week. Proclamation, whereas public works services provided in our community are an integral part of our citizens' everyday lives, and whereas the support of an understanding and informed citizenry is vital to the efficient operation of public works systems and programs such as water, sewers, roadways, and solid waste collection. And whereas the health, safety, and comfort of this community greatly depend on the facilities and services, and whereas the quality and effectiveness of these facilities and programs, as well as their planning, design, and construction, are dependent upon the efforts and skill of the public works professionals, and whereas the efficiency of the qualified and dedicated personnel who staff the Public Works Department is materially influenced by the people's attitude and understanding of the importance of the work they perform. Whereas 2016 marks the 56th annual American Public Works Association's National Public Works Week, Public Works Always There, which showcases the pervasiveness of public works, and the men and women of the profession are always there and always ready. Now therefore, I, Dennis Law, Mayor of the City of Renton, do hereby proclaim May 15th through 21st, 2016 to be National Public Works Week in the City of Renton, and I encourage all citizens to recognize the contributions public works professionals make every day to our health, safety, comfort, and quality of life. In witness whereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of the City of Renton to be affixed the 16th day of May, 2016. Signed, Dennis Law, Mayor of the City of Renton.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Pavone?
I move that the proclamation be adopted as read.
Second.
Been moved by Mr. Pavone, seconded by Mr. Prince, that the proclamation be adopted as read. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no? The ayes have it. And I'm proud to present this to Mr. Greg Zimmerman tonight.
Thanks very much. I'm Greg Zimmerman, Renton's Public Works Administrator. This is kind of an opportune time for Public Works Week recognition, because we've got quite a few very large public works projects. We're almost in the eye of the hurricane here with Department of Transportation's connector project getting underway. That's the I-405 State Route 167 improvements, soon to be followed by the Renton to Bellevue I-405 improvements by the state. We have Sound Transit 3 potentially before us with the bus rapid transit services that would serve Renton and cities along the I-405 corridor. And we have our own large projects, such as the Cedar River dredging project. The construction contract is before you tonight. So there's a lot of things happening. It seems like this is a busy time of the year for public works projects. I want to say it's an honor to serve you and the citizens of Renton working on these public works projects. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Zimmerman. Okay, so next we have the administrative report. Do we have anything, Mr. Covington? tonight?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, council members, a couple of items for your and the public's information. First, want to let people know that on May 30th, Monday, at 1 p.m., we will celebrate and honor the veterans of the Renton community at our Veterans Memorial Park. That's the location of Main Avenue South and South 3rd Street. Parking is going to be at the 200 Mill building, but it'll be a brief ceremony. It's always very nice, quite intimate, and just a great way to honor our veterans. We've got a number of streets that we continue to work on, as Greg mentioned, throughout the town. We want to just, tomorrow we'll be in the Talbot Road South area around Valley Medical Center doing some crosswalk paving. Then during the week, we'll be in the area of Lake Washington Boulevard, just north of Hauser Way, doing some storm main installation. Main Avenue continues to be partially closed due to the construction of the loft. Lane closures in the area around IKEA of Southwest 41st, 43rd, and Lind to do some utility installation. From today through July 1st, we're going to be working on some grinding and repaving both directions of Talbot Road South between South 33rd and South 23rd Street. And then Logan Avenue continues again toward an August 31st completion date. That is all, Mr. Mayor.
All right, thank you, Mr. Covington. Next up on our agenda is audience comment. I've got a sign-up sheet here. I'd like to just ask that when I say your name, please approach the podium to speak, and you have up to 5 minutes. And when you're recognized, please state your name and city of residence for the record. And I'll do the best I can to pronounce the names. First one looks like Marie McPeak. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm Marie McPeak, and I'm a City of Renton resident. And what I'm concerned about is the parking situation with Metro and with Sound Transit. And I understand that the City of Renton is proposing that that old Ford lot be turned into a transit center rather than having the transit center in downtown Renton. Mm-hmm. Now, the transit center in downtown Renton has limited parking up on the top levels, and the current Metro Transit Center has limited parking also. If you're trying to go into downtown Seattle during the middle of the day, you don't have any place to park to take the transit bus. It's impossible. You have to have somebody drop you off at the transit center or something of that sort. And I don't know with this new lot on the Sounder doesn't go directly into downtown Seattle from where that's going to be. Will the Metro be able to stop there and pick up people and then go into downtown Seattle since it's on their route, so that there is additional parking? Because I understand that at that lot they are proposing 700 slots for parking. Will Metro and Sound Transit both use that transit center? Are they considering closing the current transit center and also the current park and ride lot? I'm really confused as to what that plan is, because there is not enough parking right now.
Well, I'll tell you what, we can provide you a few answers right now and then do some follow-up. But
Okay.
great questions, and I'm sure, I'm sure there's hundreds of others in the community that have the same questions. And Mr. Prince just reminds me, and I see it here in this letter, that that we're actually asking for a 2,000 car parking garage at that new transit center. So your comments are very accurate. I think our downtown garage only has like 500 or 700 spots total and only 2 floors. Just a small fraction of that is actually leased by Metro from the city of Renton. But so what we're asking for is, what we're really asking for is that as part of Sound Transit 1, the first Sound Transit, we ended up with $68 million earmarked for our city that hasn't been spent. And so we're asking that that be spent for a really proper parking garage that would give everybody access. And then and I don't know if you asked necessarily, but for anybody listening, there would still be some bus service that would serve people that live near that transit center, but the intention would be that the new 2,000 car parking structure, along with the existing parking, along with reworking of the metro routes, would ensure enough parking for everybody at that location. So I don't know if anyone on staff could answer additionally or better. Yeah, Greg Zimmerman, who just accepted the awards, our Public Works Director, can come up and make sure I haven't misspoken, and maybe also get contact information to be sure we answer the question fully.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think you've covered the bases pretty well. The idea is to actually move the transit center from its current location, downtown location, to this new location at the intersection of Grady Way and Rainier. And that relocation is right now proposed in the Sound Transit 3 plan. Meanwhile, as Mayor Corman mentioned, there is $68 million of funding that was earmarked for from Sound Transit to Renton to do some work at one of our interchanges. We're asking that Sound Transit transfer that money to assist us to purchase the property where the new station would be, and also to start building the parking garage. And we don't think that'll be enough to complete the parking garage, but certainly to put in a lot of surface parking, get the garage started, and then with Sound Transit 3, there'd be additional funding to even do more. That's where the 2,000 parking space garage would be part of, is the Sound Transit 3. But this work to move the transit center and to get some more surface parking is independent of Sound Transit 3. We're trying to do that before the Sound Transit 3. As a matter of fact, we want movement on that right now. So we're working on the issue as we speak.
Can I ask one question?
Yes, please.
Will the Metro and Sound Transit both be able to work out of that transit center, or will they both consider operating their own lots? I mean, will it only, you see what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
There's a
right.
space between there.
Right.
And if you have to walk from way down here to get to way down there to get the bus that you're looking for,
Right.
would Metro be able to stop there at that garage and then continue on the route?
It would be a facility for both transit services,
Okay.
both Metro and Sound Transit.
Okay, that's what I wanted to find
Yeah,
out.
that's an excellent question. We were actually, I was intending to kind of push Metro to be sure of that tonight, earlier. I think that's an excellent question.
Okay.
And if I may just say one more thing, I think from, I think I see your address here, and are you Renton Highlands
Yes.
resident? Yeah. So, and be aware that we're also working with Metro, and then on the Sound Transit 3 plan, and we don't know if that's going to be approved by voters or not, but it's certainly our intention. We're putting a lot of focus into making sure that if you're a Highlands resident and you're headed to Bellevue, or if you want to go to Seattle across I-90 or something like that, that we have some ways that we could get to a northern station. So you wouldn't necessarily have to go back and use this facility, because I think even at 2,000 cars, I mean, that'll serve the southern part of Renton, but we're going to need relief in the, the Highlands area as well. so.
Right, because the 111, which would go from near where I live, not where I live, goes into Seattle, but it's only during peak hour.
Right, right.
And I have a bus station that's right outside my house, in fact, for the 111. But it doesn't go during the middle
Right.
of the day, so
Right.
I have to go to downtown Renton.
Yeah.
And then there's no parking there for,
Yeah.
Mr.
take the
President?
bus.
Yes.
Yeah,
Perez?
I highly encourage you to answer the survey that is for Metro. So they are really looking for those needs. Where exactly you need to go from where to where, because what actually we're looking for is to relieve congestion. So the fact that people will have to drive to a parking lot will not be the solution, to relieve the traffic congestion. So providing buses that will be able, like you, that you have a bus that drives there, it's gonna be a better solution. So you don't have to drive to a parking lot. So eventually, driving to take a bus to a parking lot will not be the solution. We're talking for, in the future. So please, I encourage you to answer the survey online.
Okay, the survey online is closed right now.
Yeah, I know it's going to be, I think.
They're gonna open it again? Okay.
Well, let's see. Okay, there's two surveys. So there was a Sound Transit
This is
survey,
the
Metro one, I
Metro.
believe,
This
will
is the
be
Metro.
open until June 1st.
but the Metro
Metro
one
vote?
is still open.
Oh,
And-
okay.
And, they were just here tonight, but I don't know if they said clearly how to find that survey.
Okay, I'll take down your information, we'll
Sure.
get that to you.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you for your great questions and comments.
Okay.
Okay, so next is Virginia Royce? I can't tell, I'm not sure if I'm saying that right. Virginia? Is Virginia here still, or? Okay, it was a transportation question. Maybe she was helped earlier by the discussion that already happened. Okay, so next is Tina Mapelli.
You're going to have to excuse me because I've never done this before. My name is Tina Mapelli, and I work in Seattle, and I work for First Place School. And I'm basically in charge of the housing programs there. So I'm an advocate here, and whatever Lisa said, that's the concerns that a lot of my clients have, that there's not affordable housing in Seattle, that a lot of the families have to be poured out to King County or to Renton Housing Authority because there is no affordable housing within the Seattle city limits. And there's a lot of challenges there. So I'm really hoping that things can change and we can kind of upgrade the vouchers to be the same, so families can be able to secure housing.
Very good.
Any questions for me?
No.
And I just wanted to say that we have housed 42 families, and they continue to sustain their housing, which is great. And we provide case management for those families so that way they can continue to secure their housing. But we do need affordable housing in Seattle and Renton Housing Authority, and also in King County, because a lot of our families are moving more south. And that is very challenging for families because some families are working in downtown Seattle, and then they have to kind of leave their work to move to more south and find work over there in the South End area because of the housing.
I know I'm speaking for all the council when I say, thank you for being here tonight, and thank you for your hard work on the, helping to work the homeless problem. We know that it's growing, and the city of Renton would like to do anything that we can to help, and we appreciate your involvement.
Thank you, and I am a resident of Renton
Great.
as well, so thank you.
Okay, so next up, I actually have Lisa on this list. Lisa, you're all right? Okay, so she already spoke when she received the proclamation. So last on the list is Howard McCumber.
Howard McCumber, and I live in Renton. And I'm wearing my little badge. Ruth and Ed were with us on Thursday when Peter, I think it's Kagiyama put on a fabulous, I think it was about 4 hours. It seemed like 45 minutes. The guy was fabulous. But the big thing that he pointed out was the value of grassroots volunteerism making huge differences. Had a great show. I think it wouldn't be bad to have him come back and do it again. I'd like to see him do it on TV with our thing right here. It'd be fabulous. We had a good example of that last week when the lady came with her program on putting on an owl. I thought, you couldn't have beat that. That was exactly what he was asking for. Sort of everybody getting together, making the spirit in the town soar and connection. Now, he was talking a lot about cities who lack that. We don't lack that. We've got it here. We just need to even tone it up a little bit further. But I thought this was a neat idea. The big concept, though, is that as we volunteer, as we step forward, as we come up with ideas, and then we partner with the city and with the community and with the schools, we can solve actually all the problems that we have. Now, I also am somewhat involved with REACH, and we appreciate tremendous support from the people on the dais and the public for providing meals for the folks. Tomorrow morning, no, Wednesday morning, I'll be probably feeding 80 homeless people down at Harambee, and I'll be doing it with a lot of support, a lot of people that are there. We do it again on Friday, hot meals and cold meals the rest of the time. But this is immediate lifeline. But the long term with the affordable housing is so important, and we can come up with ideas that'll provide us with affordable housing. But it's going to take some imagination. It's going to take some changes in the way we do things, because we are in desperate need of a lot more affordable housing. To make it really brief, everybody in the county has to step forward. Renton does its share, but we need to do more, and we need to provide the housing for our folks, and we need to have it so that our kids can grow up and live close. I think that's very important. And I think that we just need to have that dialogue with other folks. But I think there's 3 or 4 ways that it can be done. One of them is with some more flexibility in the way we provide housing and how we handle fees for low-income housing. And I think, of course, this is me in Renton saying that I think people in Kirkland and Bellevue ought to pay their share of taking care of the people on the low end of the scale. I went last week to the Congregations for the Homeless. They had a big to-do, and they raised over $100,000 to help the homeless in Bellevue. There's actually homeless in Bellevue. But they, on the percentage, if we all work together, and I know you're good at this, but if we can reach out to the other city governments and suggest that maybe they work with us as well as the county. If we all work together, and instead of trying to shove the people who are in need further south, if they want to go south, it's a great place to live, but they ought to help provide the financing and the funding for it. And I think this is going to take a discussion that's actually a government-to-government discussion, as well as the local folks. Now, on our level, just the grassroots guys, I think we can come up with some ideas. We can bring the ideas to Ed and the other people who are sitting on the committee, building committee, and come up with ideas where we can provide more affordable housing here. And I think it can be done, and it certainly has to be done. Thank you. Thank you for all your support.
Thank you very much, Howard. I appreciate your reminding us about the meetings last week, the community building meetings. Okay, let me ask, was there anyone else that didn't get a chance to sign up that wanted to speak tonight? Okay, seeing none, I'm just going to move us along then to, next on the agenda is the consent agenda. Mr. Pavone? Oh,
You're supposed to ask it.
I'm defaulting to the old way of doing this. Okay. Does anybody want anything removed from the consent agenda?
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Pavone?
seeing none, I move that the council approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved by Mr. Pavone, seconded by Mr. Person, that we approve the consent agenda as published. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it. The consent agenda is approved. Okay, next up is unfinished business. Mr. Pavone?
No unfinished business, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Ms. Perez?
Yes, I have 2 committee reports to present.
Transportation Aviation Committee Committee Report, Consultant Agreement with KPG Inc. The Transportation Aviation Committee recommends concurrence in the staff recommendation to authorize the mayor and city clerk to enter into a consultant agreement with KPG Incorporated for $277,625.55 for the airport control tower seismic upgrade and first floor remodel project. This is signed by the committee chair and members.
I move that council concur with the recommend action of the Transportation Committee.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved by Ms. Perez, seconded by Ms. Witchy, that we approve the committee report. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it.
Okay, the second Transportation Aviation Committee report, Professional Services Agreement with Northwest Management Systems. The Transportation Aviation Committee recommends concurrence in the staff recommendation to authorize the mayor and city clerk to execute a 4-year engineering consultant agreement for pavement condition survey services with Northwest Management Services for a total cost of $189,050. This is signed by the committee chair and members.
I move that council concur with the recommend action of the Transportation Committee.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved by Ms. Perez, seconded by Ms. Witchy, that we approve the Transportation Committee report. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it. The Transportation Committee report is approved.
And that was the final report.
Okay.
Yeah,
Is that
thank
all?
you. Yeah.
Okay, Mr. McGurven?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, the Utilities Committee has a committee report.
Utilities Committee report. Engineering consultant agreement for the CCTV inspection program improvements project with Corolla Engineers. The Utilities Committee recommends concurrence in the staff recommendation to authorize the mayor and city clerk to enter into an engineering consultant agreement for the CCTV inspection program improvements project with Corolla Engineers Incorporated in the amount of $119,168. This is signed by the committee vice chair and members.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Mr. McGurven?
I move that the council concur with the recommendation of the Utilities Committee.
Second.
It's been moved by Mr. McGurven, seconded by Ms. Perez, that we approve the Utility Committee report. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it. The Utilities Committee report is approved. Ms. Witchy?
No unfinished business, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Person?
No unfinished business.
All right, thank you. Mr. Prince?
No unfinished business, Mr. Mayor.
All right, thank you, Mr. Prince. So next we'll move along to the legislation.
Okay, we have an ordinance for first reading regarding the downtown business district, which is docket item 121. Ordinance. An ordinance of the City of Renton, Washington, amending sections 4210, 4280, and 42130 of Chapter 2 zoning districts, uses and standards, and section 41140 of Chapter 11 definitions of Title 4 development regulations of City Code, establishing the downtown business district by amending references, regulations, and the definition of downtown pedestrian district.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Mr. Prince?
I move we move ordinance D-121 to second and final reading at the next council meeting.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved by Mr. Prince, seconded
Like me now.
by Mr. McGurven, that we place this ordinance on second and final reading at the next council meeting. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it. It's advanced to second and final at the next council meeting.
Okay, we have two ordinances for second and final reading. The first is regarding candidate expense statements. An ordinance of the City of Renton, Washington, amending Section 163 of Chapter 6 Code of Ethics of Title I Administrative of City Code by revising the regulations relating to the statement of expense of candidate.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Person?
I move the ordinance be adopted as read.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved by Mr. Person, seconded by Mr. Pavone. The ordinance be adopted as read. This is second and final, so a roll call is required. I guess I have the clerk do the roll call.
No problem. Mr. Corman?
Aye.
Mr. Pavoni?
Aye.
Ms. Perez?
Aye.
Mr. McIrvin?
Aye.
Ms. Witchy?
Aye.
Mr. Person?
Aye.
Mr. Prince?
Aye.
Roll call, Mr. Mayor, all ayes.
Okay, motion passes.
Okay, the final ordinance is regarding Independent Salary Commission. An ordinance of the City of Renton, Washington, amending Section 225 and 226 of Chapter 20 Independent Salary Commission of Title II Commissions and Boards of the Renton Municipal Code, updating the regulations related to timing of future independent salary commissions and responsibilities of the commission.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Person?
move the ordinance be adopted as read.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved by Mr. Person, seconded by Mr. Pavone, that the ordinance be adopted as read. This is second and final reading, so a roll call is required. If I could ask the clerk to do the roll call, please.
Okay, Mr. Corman?
Aye.
Mr. Pavoni?
Aye.
Ms. Perez?
Aye.
Mr. McIrvin?
Aye.
Ms. Witchy?
Aye.
Mr. Person?
Aye.
Mr. Prince?
Aye.
Roll call, Mr. Mayor, all ayes.
Okay, the motion passes. Thank you. Okay, next up is new business. Mr. Pavone?
Yes, I have one meeting to announce on May 23rd, 4 p.m. Public Safety Committee will be meeting. We have one topic. It'll be emerging issues in public safety. Oh, the meeting will be in the council conference room.
Okay, thank you very
That's
much.
all.
Yep. Ms. Perez?
No new business, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. McIrvin?
No new business, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Witchy?
No new business, Mr. Mayor?
Okay, Mr. Person?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Announce the Finance Committee meeting for May 23rd, next Monday at 4:45 p.m. in the council conference room. We have three topics: vouchers, consortium, fiber project agreement 70, and emerging issues in revenue stream.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Person. Mr. Prince?
No new business, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, and I have, I think, just one item of new business. Well, excuse me, as I went through that, did anybody announce the committee of the whole?
No.
No, that's
Okay.
you.
So I'm going to go ahead and announce the committee of the whole meeting. For May 23rd, 5:30 p.m. in the Council Conferencing Center. It's an extended meeting on transportation and transit. Let me ask Mr. Covington, though, I mean, is there a reason we wouldn't do that in here? Shouldn't we maybe? Either way, it's fine if, wherever you'd like to have that discussion. I think why don't we plan on holding that in here and trying to get the video crew in, just to get as much information to the public as You bet. possible, yeah. Happy to do that. Okay, so I'll amend that, so it's again, a reminder, next Monday, 5:30 PM, right here in the council chambers, extended meeting on transportation and transit. And we'll try and get the public as educated as we can so that they can respond to Metro surveys and
Sound transit.
Sound transit as well. Okay, and then I just had one other item that it was sort of a carryover from the Committee of the Whole, and we didn't quite get to it. I just wanted to bring the council's attention to a letter that Jay Covington's been working on all of our behalf. And it's an important topic, and I think it's worth a few minutes to discuss right now. It's so pressing the way it's come up with Sound Transit 3. I think the council's well aware, everybody's got some concerns, not just our council, but all around the whole region about, Sound Transit 3, and it's moving quickly towards a final adopted plan. As council knows, and some of you have, know just as well or better than I do, that some of those elements that we had wanted, we were concerned maybe weren't materializing the way we'd hoped. But I think it is important that the council and the administration, to the degree that we can in the short amount of time we have, sort of articulates where we are on this. And by the way, do you guys have copies of this?
Yes,
this
Don is
letter?
the only one who can't find his copy.
Okay,
That's okay, I've read it.
yeah.
Oh, there we go.
And, so,
I'll just say, so, and I'd attended, I think a few of us have attended different regional meetings. The specific concerns are that we never did really get what we felt was a fair share of the money from the original Sound Move proposal. Money did get earmarked for Renton that's never really been used for Renton. There was little projects here and there, but the types of money that have been allocated wasn't used. So with that, the administration's working on a plan. I've been meeting with them. I think some of you have been talking as well. I just want to make sure we're all on the same page with that. That's already been discussed tonight, though, and I can tell the council's pretty much in concurrence with the idea of really pushing them as not as part of Sound Transit 3, but as just part of what they already owe to the city of Renton, really from 20 years ago when the first Sound Move proposal went through, to take that money that's been earmarked and to really do the fine sort of transit station that we deserve with, as we discussed, the 2,000 car parking garage. And that's not just a benefit to Renton citizens, it's a benefit to the region, it's a benefit to Sound Transit, would also be a benefit to Metro, would improve ridership, which would help fare box revenues, which would also help Sound Transit and Metro. So that's one of the elements. The BRT, which was part of the, it's part of Sound Transit, it's also part of the 405 master plan, which was discussed at the Committee of the Whole, the 405 master plan was, that relies on the hot lane, which is sort of, everything's kind of linked and it makes it kind of complicated. But I think at this point, I think the direction we're headed is that we need for the DOT to implement every improvement that they can make for that hot lane, so that it doesn't have, if they do the hot lane, we don't want it to have the rollout problems that they experienced in the north end. We want them to apply the proper algorithms. We want to make sure they look into making sure it doesn't just take bypass I-5 traffic, that it actually helps us. But then that's part of, without that, you don't get the BRT. So I just want the council to understand that those things kind of work together, that the bus rapid transit, really the design of the bus rapid transit is supposed to be like a rail on rubber tires, a fast-moving bus system that level loads where people have paid their fare in advance. And so it has to have a fast lane that it can go down. So that's what the hot lane's about. So that's covered, that's basically covered by this letter as well. There's then what we're seeing with Sound Transit 3 is very aggressive move by many of the communities to bring rail. Well, I shouldn't say it's aggressive. They want rail. There's a lot of communities asking for light rail. It's actually not aggressive in that the time frame is up to 25 years before some of those come together. So what Renton has asked for consistently in the past is bus rapid transit that operates on the same kind of headways as light rail and could have the same kind of carrying capacity. We're really asking that would go in right in the same time frame as the 405 expansion, which would be 2023, 2024 kind of time frame. That would actually put it, 16 years ahead of any light rail to Everett, for instance. But to me, I think that's the Sound Transit Board has basically said that's part of their plan. We're just asking them to really better articulate it and better explain, make sure that the money's properly earmarked, that we're early. And then one of the biggest things that we need to see happen with that is when the 405 Executive Committee talked about bus rapid transit, it had multiple stations that Renton residents could use to board the bus rapid transit. The first sort of notional description of Sound Transit 3 wasn't clear that there was any stations between the Renton Transit Center and Bellevue. And so what we're asking for specifically is that they put a station at 44th Street, basically near the Seahawk Center, so that anybody in Renton could either, sort of travel north and catch the BRT up there, or travel south and catch it at the transit center. That would also serve Newcastle, so there's some nice synergy. We're getting support from Newcastle for that same ask. I would personally, having sat on the 405 committee, have loved to see us also be putting a BRT station more at 8th Street down by the landing, which we had originally talked with Sound Move about 20 years ago. But I actually think that that's probably, given where it is in the political process, this is probably about as good as we're going to do. So these items, though, I mean, okay, then last thing I need to say is that as we saw the Metro presentation tonight, I think Metro has been aggressive about really studying our community, and they could fill in the gaps a lot if there was, as long as we have access to the various terminals of the rail system and good access, so we don't have to park our cars at any distant park and ride. But as has been proposed today, we should be able to catch buses in front of our homes that would take us to the rail. And it does seem like Metro, which is a taxing district which takes about as much tax money from us as Sound Transit, and they're really showing that they're a willingness to fill in, so I applaud them for that. So all those things are part of this letter. Jay Covington, I appreciated that when you prepared it, you acknowledged that you thought you had council support, you weren't sure. We haven't taken formal action on this, but I just didn't want to get too far afield of the council's views on this. So with that, I've kind of talked a long time.
Mr. Mayor?
Yeah, Mr. Prince.
I want to go back to one of the things you just said about Metro and them aggressively studying Renton.
Yes.
They've aggressively studied Renton because we've had people sitting on the Regional Transit Committee that have constantly advocated for Renton. So Marcy Palmer and then me for the last 2 years have constantly, this isn't something, and I give them credit for taking our input, but I don't think they would have just organically.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Prince. That's an excellent point. And it actually reminds me, and maybe this was the point of bringing that up, that's something that's not in this letter, but we just have to get a voice on Sound Transit. We're a large enough city that we deserve a seat on Sound Transit. And I was talking to Mr. Covington about that tonight. The mayor's been pushing. I did ask for and received a letter that the mayor had written, a pretty firm letter. I remember it was like 5 or 6 years ago, almost begging to get that seat on Sound Transit. And I really wish that the board had given it to us, because exactly as Mr. Prince says, we wouldn't have been feeling like we're in a reactive mode. I want to say I don't know that we'd have had a rail line planned to Renton, because I've never heard us specifically articulate that's in the plan, but it's possible that we would have gone that direction. I do want to say that a good BRT that connects to the rail system will probably give us, very good service also. But we would have had somebody on the Sound Transit Board for several years to have really brought that about. At least that's what I think.
Mr. Mayor, can I get clarification on two things? The first is that when we talked about an inline BRT station in Renton, I guess we kind of went back and forth a little bit on whether it would be 30th or 44th.
Yes.
I've seen proposals for both, and I was confused as to how we got to deciding that it would be 44th versus 30th. And then my second question would be, 30th Park and Ride is a dirt lot. Can we put anything in here to at least have that paved?
Good question. Good question.
So we have Mr. Covington, the author of the email address.
Yes, please.
Yeah.
Yes, let me talk a little bit about, I may have to have Greg come up and help me with the North 30th. I will say that what makes this complicated is, as Council President Corman indicated, is that the improvements to 405 seem to be, they're inextricably linked with what WashDOT can do. And so as we look at an inline station, the cost of that station becomes a factor of WashDOT's construction of the freeway itself. And so the Northeast 44th, the plans for North 30th, I think I've never heard that considered as a inline station alternative. What in the south end they were looking at was Northeast 44th or Northeast 112th. WashDOT intends that as they move down the line, they're not sure they have to completely reconstruct Northeast 30th. They do have to reconstruct Northeast 44th, which you heard earlier tonight, which is why they don't want to do any interim improvements to Northeast 44th. However, as they create a new overpass or interchange, that does allow the opportunity for an inline station to be constructed. And we were hoping that that would be something that would be handled more expeditiously, because WashDOT will be coming down more quickly to do that than they would in the second round of funding that is yet to be determined if they'll ever, in fact, even receive it. So the discussion that we had earlier this week was, was it, at least in the discussion I had with Councilmember Balducci, was whether she was considering whether it was Northeast 112th, which is the Newcastle interchange, or Northeast 44th, which is at our northern boundaries. Greg, if you have any more information on Northeast 30th.
That's correct. I don't recall that North 30th was on the table even in the intensive plan. I think it was the two interchanges that Jay just mentioned, 112th up in Newcastle and the Northeast 44th. Part of it is logistics, is fitting it into what's there. Northeast 44th interchange is going to be significantly modified as part of the I-405 Renton to Bellevue project, and it can be fit in to, the inline station can be fit into those modifications. So logistically, it works out that way. The site is more amenable to putting in an inline station at that location. There are some space constraints down at North 30th to do that. Not to say that it has been thoroughly vetted, because I don't think it has, but it was not one of the locations that was in the intensive Sound Transit 3 BRT plan. Those were the 112th and the Northeast 44th interchanges.
Great question, thank you. Ms. Perez, I could tell you're dying to say something, please.
It's okay. It's just I don't understand why I am reading the letter and the way we are asking the things. In the budget, the budget of the east side, we are Kirkland, Bothell, Bellevue, Redmond, Issaquah, Newcastle, and Renton. And after Bellevue, we are the largest city. We pay more than any other city after Bellevue as well. Bellevue is the only city of all of us that has received anything from SAMMove and ST2. And we, in ST3, we are gonna get the form of, the most economical form of mass transportation, which is the BRT, which is gonna be, I don't know, 350 million, more or less.
Yeah, I think in this segment.
Yeah, more or less in this segment of Renton. Issaquah is gonna get a light rail for $1.5 billion. And they are fighting with us for giving us a high quality BRT, and we have to keep begging for stops, and I don't understand why they keep fighting. If we are paying more, if we have more residents, I just don't know why it has to be, we cannot be equal there.
Yeah.
Why Renton has to be the one who has to be saying, hey, can you look at us?
Yeah.
We have this number of residents. We have the most economic mass of transportation. We are just asking for what is fair.
Yeah.
And we're in the middle. It's not like we're at the end of the line.
Right.
You
Yeah,
have to
everything
go
goes
through us.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, my thoughts, Ms. Perez, are that I think you articulate very well the frustrations that we all have. And so, yeah, I mean, that we want to make sure that we get the BRT we've asked for. I've done quite a bit of soul searching, thinking, well, what should our ask have been? And frankly, I think that one of my biggest problems with this is that I think that the rail lines are overly aggressive in some of the east side areas. That when you're capable of generating just 16,000 riders a day or whatever, that really should be better served by BRT. That maybe it's too early to run rail to some of those areas, but they're doing it, which then it brings up the question of fairness. And all I can say is I agree with that.
Mr. Mayor?
Yeah, Mr. Prince?
So we have a 90-minute discussion scheduled for this next week.
Okay.
I think we want to not use up all our powder at the end of tonight's meeting.
Thank you for the reminder.
Mr. Corman?
Yeah.
I just want to make this statement, and I agree with Ed, is we have 90 minutes scheduled next week. But I want to reiterate what Ruth has said and thank her, because if there's anybody on the council, we've all that has brought this to the forefront for the administration, for this council, for Sound Transit, for anybody that'll listen, it's been Ruth. And I think we're at this point because of her involvement and her willingness to speak out, and I want to thank her for that. And I can assure you that next week, as we go into our 90-minute discussion, your viewpoints will be well represented.
Thank
Good.
you.
And great points all. And let me ask, Ruth, did you have any objections to where Jay's gone? I mean, it's okay for now. We'll talk about it more next week.
Yeah, I'm not gonna be here, but.
Oh, that's right.
Or should we ask her if she has objections?
Pardon me. Baker. Well, I just wanted to make sure that, I think you're making this, that you've been making a great point, that it's not been fair, and I think with that, in fact, that has armed us to make our points more aggressively, that these are the steps we would need. What I guess I want to make sure of is that you're feeling okay about, So, and I think that's the feeling of all the council. So thank you to the administration. I know you guys are sort of having to, think on your feet as you kind of work with this. But good. I look forward. Everybody that's watching this meeting tonight can treat that as a preview of coming attractions for next week.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
move we adjourn.
Prince.
Second.
All right, it's been moved by Mr. Prince, seconded by Mr. Pavone that we adjourn. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Thank you very much.